Nein. Wir machen das hier. Und so haben wir geblieben mit einer großen schweren Rambam. Ich habe gebringt, du Zettel. Es ist doch ein Zettel auf Englisch, von das dort zu lernen. In so einem, lass mal sagen, was der Rambam sagt. Und noch hat man Chazer in der Kasche in sich nach Teretz, ja? Was der Rambam sagt, ist so. In gemeinsam kam ich gelernt die ganze Sache bis der End, so lassen wir es lernen bis der End. Sagt so, das ist der letzte Stickel von der Sache, wie halb schon wieder da, ja, in der Mitte von der Paragraph, ich weiß schon, was haben wir gemacht, denn ich mache noch ein Paragraph, weil du halb schon zu meiner Sache. Sagt so, der Sache, was ich gerade sagen in der Prokem, in der 8 Prokem, auch in der Parish, ja, Prokem meint, was schreibt Chapters, straight, und Parish ist ja ein Parish im Schneis. Es ist nicht keine Sache, was ich allein zum Chadisch gewähnt, nicht kein Parish, was ich sehr ausgetragen, so ein Amtsi gewähnt. Das sind zwei Schlieles, zwei Sachen, was es nicht. Nicht seine Chadische, und auch nicht der Parish. Das hat nicht seine Hand zu uns. That part is a little funny, weil der Parish ist ja seine Chadische. Das heißt, sagt, das meint der Mischner. Das ist nicht Malakit, der Parish auf dem Schneis. Ich würde, was meint zu sagen, ist nicht, dass der Heilige Parish ist nicht der Original. Die Sache von der Heilige Parish ist sicher ja Original. Was meint zu sagen, dass der Yitzchok von der Parish ist nicht der Original. Right? The ideas, was connected to the Mishnah ist nicht der Original. So müssen wir sagen. Ja. Okay, nur was ist ja. Es ist ein Juna Melekutem. Auch gekoiden kannst du es Melekut, right? In other words, haben wir gesagt, das ist, in dem ist du Saya Schlile und Saya Chiv. It's compiled, es ist zusammengenehmen Sachen, Melekut. Aber also wenn es gelernt, Melekut meint noch nicht Copy-Paste. Melekut meint, also ist der Melekut und ist der Mesadra-Fälle. So es ist ja du, in dem ein gewisser Chedisch, aber das ist nicht wichtig. Das ist der Teuchen, ist nicht, die Idee ist nicht keine neue Idee. Jetzt von wem ist Melekut? Ich sage so, von zwei anderen Sorten Menschen, wo jeder eine von sich hat, zwei oder drei andere Sorten. Da haben wir so zwei Gruppen Menschen, wo jeder eins hat drei. Okay? Die erste Gruppe Menschen ist Chachomem. Chachomem meint, by the way, wenn du hast den Day, ist zu sehen, der Rambam hat geschrieben, es steht einfach, die Ente ist noch der Mulweg, jetzt muss ich ein bisschen bleiben. Aber die interessante Sache ist, der Rambam hat geschrieben auf Arabisch, dann all these things, Judeo-Arabic, right? Arabisch betyder Joisies. And the interessante Sache ist, also es ist doch Jiddisch, das ist fake Arabic, right? Es ist English Arabic. So, ich sage Werte bringt darauf, dass ich Koidisch. Nicht alle Werte, was es übergetascht, ist übergetascht. Die heilige Werte sind ein originell Rambam. Und der normale, weiß es nicht, kannst nicht sehen von einem, welche Stückler. Es sind also, was du do andere Translations, oder wenn man kiegt in der Mekar, kann man sehen, schwarz einmal macht bold, der heilig, was ist originell. Was der Rambam allein hat geschrieben, it makes a big difference, because you could see how, mehr clue. So, the Muschel du, der Wort Chachomem, ist nicht übergetascht. Das doesn't say the sages, Chachomem ist ein jiddisches Konzept. Das hat, weil mein Chachom meint jetzt was in so gesagt mo Chazal. Some weird Teil, Chachomene ist Chron in der Broche. Aber Chachom meint jetzt the Chachom, das heißt nicht the smart people. No, it doesn't mean the smart people.
Okay, so why didn't he write the
He did. He did. It's bolded here. Yeah. I forgot my copy of the Arabic, but it says it is bold. Can also do it gets. But Akapunim it actually says Chachomim in Hebrew, if I'm correct.
So know when it says in Hebrew if it means that.
Obviously, Chachom in Hebrew meint nicht smart people. Chachom in Hebrew meint eine gewisse Gruppe Menschen, haben beginnen mit Chachom. Das ist ein größer Chilik, ja. Ist ein Chachom, von der Mann stehen, meint nicht, dass ein clear Mensch. Das meint, it's a whole different level. Understand? Zu sagen, dass einer von der Chazal meint noch, es ist kliegen, nicht, dass es sich in der Brüche. Es meint nur, dass von der Gruppe Menschen haben beginnen mit Kach. Auf Jiddisch, ja. Auf Englisch meint es, that's a big... Okay, and then it says like this, and these... Die Chachomim haben drei sources, right? Number one, Medrushim. Medrushim, this is also a word in right? Medrash is... Selbe sagt Talmud, die zweite sagt Talmud, jeder weiß Talmud, die Gemurre. In andere Gewieren, andere Books, die Chachomim geschrieben, I'm not sure what that means, but anyways. So, es du drei sources von den Chachomim. Ich darf kicken später und sehen, wo es Quote pinklich, ich habe mich ausfügen, was pinklich meint. And or maybe he means later Chachomim was geschrieben Sachen was nicht in dem, I don't know. He doesn't really, the Rambam generally doesn't like quoting anyone that's not Chazal. Kemat quoten ich kann, was hätte ich zu einen. Yeah, but he almost doesn't quote anyone in between. Anyone between him and Chazal more or less don't exist for him. Sicher nicht in Juni Aguda. And I look at sometimes he cares. Okay.
Why is that?
Andere Schier. Weil hat das auch nicht keine Authority.
Aber das ist eine Sache.
Geht es. So happens to be alt als redden ist.
Man muss kein...
Nein, nicht mamisch. Läuft von Kluli. Okay, of course, it's very interesting because if you read, das ist die Menschen happen, ich hatte so was mit der Kizri, mit die alle noch mit Poem, Sadig was allgemein Vater Rambam. It's kicking on the Rambam, but the Rambam doesn't ignores them more or less, although he for sure read their books. Ich kann schon so viel and drink can Zimtzum. Sach muss sein interessant, man kann sein efter Empter hat der Sadig oder die Kizri oder die so was, but sucht nicht. So kann man seine nehmen. Okay, so these sind die drei jüdische Mekoides, die drei Mekoides städtischen Koides, ja? Wir kommen mit der Stahl mit den anderen Sachen. Und auch wird von den Philosophen. Und Philosophen haben gesagt, auch drei Sachen. Alte Philosophen, neue Philosophen, und Sachmenschen. I don't know who these Sachmenschen sind. Maybe it means later, even people that are not philosophers, maybe religious people, ich weiß nicht. Und auf dem, right, auf this second group of Chevre, sagt Shema, Emes, Misha, sollst mich nicht unschreien, als ich, Mr. Rambam, bring Goy mit meinem Cipher. Shema Emes Misha Amra. Jetzt, geht sich Maßbar auf dem. Sucht nicht nur dem, aber Abula beginnt nach Sach mehr von dem. Du kannst mir gerade von mir lachen gewesen, das heißt, ich bin noch als der geschriebene Wärter at least, right? Nicht Mama plagiarize. Nimm nur Ideas. Und jetzt redet viele von der Language. Also kann viele sagen, also muss ich bringen eine ganze Member, ein ganze Paragraph. She Lucian Cipher me firsim. A ganze paragraph, which is a famous book. I don't know if maybe famous, maybe we should be translated a published book. I'm not sure. Firsim doesn't always mean things that are famous. Famous has too much connotation of like well known. I think famous means published, like a public. In many Masura is the Arabic word. It often has the connotation of public things, not or known thing, not well known in the sense famous is.
What would be the
Firsim
opposite
was about Nachman Firsim.
What would be the opposite of not published?
Private books, things that only smart people know.
Okay.
And dafür they sagen, weil ob du eine was gelernt andere popular work. And I said, wait, did I copy paste the popular Scheife? Sagt no, ich did this. He's telling us beforehand that he did it. He actually did it. We actually do know who he copy pasted from. And if you read, and guys now Farabi and Abu Natsar, rief them der Ramon gewöhnlich. And bringt ihm seine Nummern in andere Plätze. Aber die Cipher, meine Brücken, hat man getroffen, als Al-Farabi hat a book, was heißt Pirke Hamedina, was ich gesagt, chapters, also called chapters on the politics, chapters on Midas. And so do ganze Stücklich, was lifted from that. Ja. Einmal ein ganzes Paragraph, ein ganzes... Alle Ideas gemacht, nicht alle, hat gedischen, aber gemacht alle Ideas, das weiß, das kommt schon Sach für ihr, aber was sagt du als amol bringe ich ein ganze Schire, ist auch dem, amol mengt der Mamisch, es ist like Zerani, he adds, it doesn't, but if you would pass it through that plagiarism detector from, you'll find that it's it's language, translation issues, but it is, ne, sucht klar, es ist mit dir, also die ganze Teams.
Weil suchen mit dir Sachen, muss nicht gerecht.
Ein Minute, der Heilige Rambam hat getracht mit einem Kaschen, aber das ist eine größere Kaschen in a certain sense, wie das ist so früher. Können wir gerät, dass die Ideen sind nicht nahe, das ist mal gibt es auch, because no ideas are bad, right? Ganz gedenken. We discussed this, right? No idea, Chedische Teure generally are false, right? Other is a Teure von Mam Darsina, es ist alt. Other is es nahe und es ist fake. Was heißt, das ist machadisch, was does it even mean? The Litvikas verstehen, ist allein doch noch. Eine alte Kaschen, right? Anyways, it's a basic problem, right? Anything like have a new creative ethics. Nobody wants creative ethics. Ich will the ethics. Creative philosophy. Why do you want a creative philosophy? You want a ancient philosophy in the sense of something that was always true and was always going to be true.
It's a lie.
Maybe to be the erste was discovered. Halt sich raus, was der erste was discovered. Das der MS hast du nicht sicher nicht gemacht.
Aber es ist Ziel kommt zu der MS.
Okay. Gibt's the prize. Not a reason that I should listen to it. If I come and say, Ashira, boys, ich habe a großen Chiddush, you should all say, I get it, go for a birthday cake. What do you want from my life?
Nein,
why would you care that I have a Chiddush?
It's the Emmis. Oh, it's the Emmis.
Oh, ich so gern. Kick, ich will in Kmas sagen, was MS, allemal wenn MS ist auch useful. Das Geist etwas haben von dem, then you should buy. But ich mir excited, dass ich habe discovered that it's not. This is very exciting for me, but nobody cares. Why should anyone care? I think that every share is started by saying, I'm not saying any Chadishim here. Everything I'm saying is true. Then people would listen, or everything I'm saying is useful at least. All these tzaddikim that come and say, "Boy, zeg mal große Chiddush, hast du große Chiddush?"
This
Ist ja nicht
truth
gesagt.
is old.
Yismach, was
Truth
du
is
sich fragen?
chronologically old is not the same.
It's not chronologically old. It always was and always is. But just saying that this was drama Chadishim, we always read that as a anova. I don't know if that's anova. I think maybe that's making much more powerful what he's saying. Sag mal, ich habe ausgetragen. Okay, hast du ausgetragen. Sag mal, die sagst, weil sein Azoi is making a bigger claim. It's Gava, Kelly. It's a stärker claim from what it's not making it less, it's making it more, right? This says, ein Eilit Wurem Shechidashtem. That is not his nutzless from plagiarism. That is, I mean, maybe it's also that. But it's also, at least, making you take a lot more seriously what he says. The boy said, was so gang, es weißen alle Menschen, the Chacham was gewesen, the Goyim was gewesen, it's like, it's the same, by the way, this is why, right, the contemporary, the historicist way of learning Torah was, alle Oibachom lernen der Weg, is ins Verzeihen, von wem in jeder gegangen wird, Kili hat very interesting.
Was ist der Weg?
There's a certain, ich weiß nicht, ich hack du in Kaparan, ich stop matching the thing. Anyways, lang gehen weiter. Die Kids ist nicht interessant. Es ist auch mehr interessant zu wissen, so ein Outing. And someone comes and says, you know, the Rambam, he took it from Aristotle. And for some reason, and you know, the Gemuri, they took it from the Persian judges. And you know, Moshe Rabbani, he took it from Hammurabi. I know Hammurabi, he took it from someone else before him. In any case, this is plain anti-Semitism.
No, ich will kein Maß machen, ich weiß, recently, literally this week, als du sagst, Philipp Mulatog, sagst du, der ist alles bei Sachen. Alles, machst du so many push things. I'm not saying yeah, Chiddush, but try to do it this way, but this is not something I'm explaining. First, let me explain the Aleph. This is Aleph Bais. I'm not so saying Aleph Bais basically means that it's not a Chiddush of mine, but he viewed it very arrogant. Why is everything Aleph Bais?
Maybe it is arrogant.
They said the thought is that Aleph Bais is it's old stuff already. Old stuff is an arrogant thing to say, Khalid.
Die weiß schon, ja.
Als ich weiß schon, I know what the old stuff is. Weiß ich kann sagen, das ist mit dem Schiff.
Jeder weiß nicht. Keiner weiß nicht, was
Ich habe nicht gesagt, der Chid. Chid ist echt der Wald sagen. Aber jetzt erst kann man sagen, what's accepted. I know what's all the...
Yes, but I'm saying that really, not like in general, if someone comes and tells you, you know, this doesn't only say the Torah, it says in another book also, it should make you respect the Torah more, not less.
No, less. Me.
So now I'm explaining to you why you're wrong. Because
that
we don't believe in the Torah because the Torah invented
the
things.
vine.
Shaykh is divine. Divine meint, Sachen was an animal gewesen, and kein animal sein.
Nein, das kann nicht bitte.
Noch Sachen, but at least that. Everything that's divine was always true.
Op andere boeken had het ook in als human being, maar dit is als divine.
So macht, as is the can sein oder der Eibestadt sich von noch Menschen, and die ist nicht so special, because if your belief in the Torah is based on us being special, you should stop with the plain Gave. Es kann nicht sein, dass die Jüdischkeit ist eine Glaube mal Gave.
Wel precies, maar ins, daar hebben ze gehad ingenemen, Noord-ins. Het was een precies, want ze hadden alles wegmaken, dus maar
een minute, Vater Psikim. Jeder eine was geht darin und so, let's see if you go in kindergarten. I don't know why, okay, ich kann stoppen. Geht's, ich kann tacken. Like, actually, yeah, this is all Gezeugnis. In Pnimis is nicht das. Pnimis, if you care about the truth of the thing, the more old it is and the more people realize it by themselves, or by divine, ich kann nicht wie soll. It's mehr, es macht es besser. And allemal is even useful, because sometimes if you don't know why people would say this, you find someone else that says the same thing, but it is maß besser der Tam. Es verstehen, warum es ein anderes sagt, dass er nicht sagt, maß der Tam, oder will nicht maß der Tam, and so on. Al Capone, that's why, but I'm telling you, we're so used to, also because of what you're saying, but also because of Stam Schlechte Midas. It seems to me that many people that would say a sheep, they just want to celebrate the fact that they're so smart. And that is a great thing to celebrate. But Lamas and nobody else should care about it. You should care about it. So Ashid das sind alte Sachen. Jetzt sucht ihr so eine Chitzpe, weil es ist alle weisen, ich bin ein Narr, ich weiß es nicht. Well, what should I do? You're a Narr. That's a different problem. Okay. But this is but that's why I'm making chilek. This is as they macht ganz der Stücklich nimmt he didn't even formulate them afresh. Here he has to answer himself. Auf dem darf sich verantworten.
Why?
Copyright? Yeah, because that's very often when people do that, they do that in order to take credit. It's also true for ideas, but especially true for language, right? If you take a whole book of someone else and you change 2 words and you write it, publish it under your name, then the only thing you were machadish was your name, right? Big chiddush, right? They say for riesige chiddush, the name from the machaber. Look, eine von the chiddushim sind nicht zans, but he was machadish, a big chiddush that he made all the chiddushim. Not a true chiddush, but that's the kind of chiddush that people very often go for, right? And that's a bad thing to do. You shouldn't steal someone else's covet. Viele covet is going to scham von einer anders. Why would you go around and write someone else's book on your name? According to McCall, everyone should read that person's book. What's the point of writing the same book twice? Secondly, okay, sometimes people want to be recognized as smart people, so that's what they do it. So that's just plain riches. And thirdly, it's a shtickle gezayle.
Why is it gezayle? How's that?
I don't know. I think that it's
not me.
was schlecht.
Nee, Nemes.
Nicht Nemes, von Maske. Man darf allemaal sagen Nemes?
Ja. Ein Mensch für mich, darf sein ein anderes Mensch. Nicht
I'm going to give a sheet next week why man darf allemaal sagen Nemes. Oder andere Woche. Weißt du, das ist Nemes. Okay, vorne. Man darf allemaal sagen Nemes. Okay, but let's say, but that's not the problem. It's worse than that.
Why is it important to say who said it? Why would it be important? If it's...
What it says here is only the riftes pares or toyen. In other words, it's a certain. It doesn't actually say mispar in this source. In any case, I think that it would be a lie, and it would be a lie that gains you covered on the expense of someone else, which is dead. Okay, so maybe that guy can't take it in Torah.
It's not right. It's very Torah. It's just not right, no?
Also, it's useless. What's the point? Besides for you getting covered.
Oh, yeah.
No, it could be confusing. The other benefit of not writing names is one thing.
I'm in it. We'll get to the other side. I'm just saying that why there's a question. There is a question when someone does that.
No, but ich get the question. This is because it's useless. That's the answer. But what's the question? Why?
No, the question is that you're taking credit for someone else's work.
But he's not.
Sei geht. Das ist der Territ. Wir noch normal, wir nehmen die Kasche, was für Empfang. Right?
Wenn die das ist nicht, in die was,
Okay.
in Menschen halten, die Beschleunige Kurve, whatever you say, macht man schon weg. Die Menschen halten das nicht von ihm.
Okay.
Nein?
Some people. Maybe.
I don't know what that's a flaw. Whatever you say, whatever. Flaw person.
Okay, he says like this, that I'm not doing this. If I would be doing that, it would be a problem. If I would be claiming that I wrote this book, would be a problem. But I'm not claiming to wrote it. Ich habe schon Morde gewähnt. Also ich habe nicht die Ideas, and I feel nicht the language, sag mal. Ich sage das, ich putte von Daytan, als ich bin gegangen in der Scheigit. Now I'm back to being a nice guy. So now why don't I write it? Still don't answer the question why I don't write the nice guy's name. Just answered why I'm not a Rusha. Okay, it's not, was wissen, dass nicht meine Chedishim. Was kostet to schreiben the mention's Numen? You have to have a reason. In general, it's a nice thing, and even a Gemurah doesn't bring the Gemurah. But it's even like a Mishnah that says you should be Omedu b'Shem Amra, and the pshat from that Mishnah is that it's a menschlich. It's just a basic menschlichkeit, no? There's other reasons, but firstly there's a basic menschlichkeit. There's also other reasons. The Rambam sagt also, although I don't do this, ich gehe jetzt nicht hin, ich gehe nicht so apply. Why? Because this is a waste of time, waste of ink. That's what he says. It's too many words. That's number one. Ein Te'elis boy. It makes the book longer by at least 2 words for no reason. Stimmt? Arichas ein Te'elis boy. Any book that lists quotes and writes who the quotes are from. So if he would say that he made it off, Kashif, Tagana. But if he writes the Beferish on the top, this is Melikit, not my Chirishim, so why tell me who it is? Yes, what's the difference? What's the point of that? Stimmt? There's no point.
We're so used to see our point, so...
Ich kann das ein Point. Ich kann das ein Point.
Even think was wie... So, alles für die Menschen. So ist es, ich weiß nicht.
Menschen kaufen es nicht, für weil die hast nicht keine Authority, die bist nicht genug gut, da sind nicht mehr Kabel, da sind nicht mehr kein Schmarrn, es ist nicht andere. Der Kür nicht, wenn dieser Abstep ist, der Kür noch, wenn ein anderer Schraubstep ist. That's why people do that. And that's also another reason why people lie in the other direction, right? People say things, and they don't know if they're nicht gesagt, right? Remember the story for that?
Als Megastin, right?
Ich weiß, dass du gesagt hast, Megastin.
It's wrong that way.
It's a wrong halacha. Ich habe gehört.
100%.
Al Capone. But that's why people do it. Why? Because nobody believes it. But the Rambam doesn't seem to be worried about that problem. He doesn't seem to be worried that people will say, this is no. You know why? Because the Rambam is not, it's actually very interesting. He's, in some sense, he just assumes that he's an authority. Everyone reading this, he's telling you the truth. But in another sense, it is nicht, nimmt nicht keinem von sich mehr authority wie darf. So keinem nicht liegt over them. Nicht, I feel nicht liegen. I feel immer sagt nicht over them. In other words, let's assume that Taka makes it, there's a problem. There's one problem, but soon we'll get to another problem. But there's a problem. The first problem is that it makes books more complicated and longer to write Umar Ploini. I could even tell you a more simple reason, because especially when you're Malakit, right? Especially when you're Malakit. Now, the Rambam is not a Malakit like all the bad Malakit that you people are reading. It is like the Malakit, that's the right? He's a Malakit that actually reorganizes the content and makes it very coherent, even when he's stealing entire paragraphs. So, if he would say in the middle, it would become very misturbal. This is what Mr. Kvan said. The sentence wird aufgeht zu fuhren schreien. Also wie sagt Mensch muss tun das, wird aufgeht zu flohen, right? Und die haben so der Stück, also wie der zweite gesagt, und der dritte ist Mashma, you can't do that. You lose the whole concept. He wants to center the concept, not the people that say it. And he says, and he literally, he says the same thing in Dom Gelernt, right? Dom Gelernt. And the Akdama.
Was such thing as footnotes in the times of the Rambam?
Footnotes are one of the worst inventions ever, and all footnotes should be burned.
I love those
The concept of footnotes.
Blind sources.
No, it was invented to solve this problem, and it's a very bad solution. There's a whole book that someone wrote about footnotes, and all the book is in the footnotes. But he didn't actually do that. This wrote a normal book. And footnotes have a history. They were invented in the Renaissance, like most bad things and good things. And a lot of things, a lot of ways of printing.
Right?
Was an ofti. It was an ofti, but it's actually very bad to do footnotes. Please don't write. Look, I do footnotes sometimes, but this isn't too much. A footnote is so wie mein Bruder. Ich meine, so wie die alle Menschen, was reden zu dir. Da boys say, ich kann nicht gerade da ich kann nicht gewollt sagen, was der Geist hello, was die will sagen so, was die willst nicht sagen, schon still. They can't say no. A footnote is not being still. A footnote is ein kann kommen nach die alle ein kann kommen nach. Weißt du, was mein kann kommen nach die Rusche. Ich weiß noch, was gesagt nicht. What's the point of me knowing that you know something that I don't know? They can't good, at least he was respecting the Torah. Yes, mach kurz lifnach, mach kurz lifnach, kurz of the camp von Schmein. But stam, ich hab mehr man kann over why what's in your head.
I find footnotes be very helpful.
Yeah.
Why can't it be part of the book?
If it's important, it should be part of the book. If it's not important, it shouldn't be anywhere.
A lot of Kim weiß wie good information and not kicking us.
Ich bin gegen den. Ich bin gegen footnote. And ich halt, most of the time it's because of laziness. Most of the time, I actually write, I very often start writing a footnote, then I realize, ich denke up, ich will du etwas sagen. Schreib es an Heuven. Ob es nicht wichtig, schreib es an. If you mamish only do marme koimes, also bad, because what's the point? Make it small oasis in the middle. And again, most of the time, many books, most people that write footnotes is because they're not good at organizing their thoughts and presenting it in a linear fashion. That's a very hard thing to do. And that's why they do footnotes. Most books that have footnotes, this is basically the reason there are the footnotes that exist. Ob eine Mama schreibt, no, man bekommt eine Footnote, it's not going to stop you from reading anyways. Man doesn't bother anyone. Most good to have the Chassidus for him. Man macht sich kleiner Häuser, man findet ein größeres Haus, es steht nicht, Winkel. If you need a Marmo, there's no use. The stam, it's ugly by the way, and it's actually much harder to figure out where everything is. Like if you do it on the side, like the Masodis used to be before Oizvuda ruined it, then it was useful. If you wanted not, by the way, that's a medieval invention, actually. See, I'm always pro the medieval things and against the modern things. In medieval times, people invented the concept of a 2-column manuscript, or a 3-column, right? Like the Gemara. The Tziddus Adat was not invented by the printer. It was invented a lot before that. Manuscripts already have. No, but that's print. But even before that.
Well, it was a written thing. Anything that has
No, I thought that means... Okay, but kids, even before that, people invented multi-text in one page. That's actually a great invention. It's overdone, of course, in the Heimish Spurim. But it's actually an amazing invention that didn't arrive in academia yet. Because nobody, besides for Nassim Taleb, who tried to write a book that way.
Translation, they do it that way.
Some. Very few are done well. Actually, the Heimish books are better at doing that because they have a tradition. Very few do that well. But then kannst du machen, man kommen so das Art, no problem. Also wie du musst jetzt translaten. Das ist sehr useful. Du kannst sei line and sei glatt.
Es ist schwerer, hört sich einer.
Das ist sach schwer. Du hast da mal probiert noch zu kicken nach Stück, aber einmal von bei Talmides. You don't know where it is. It's not Grenzfinish in the back stand besser macht auf man schießen. Aber in the even on the bottom, it's just akapuna back to where I am. Actually, footnotes is not a solution to this problem. It's a solution. It's trying to solve this issue, but it's a very bad solution, and it's part of this like people that never could decide anything. Ich will sagen in die ganze von Schwagen. Schwagen ist einer von den Secrets. Das ich gewogen.
Yeah, you phony.
Was?
Weil das
Nein, was ist immer. Sandig. Macht footnotes. Gerade macht mit Zinsen. He does pretty good, but he could have also done it on the side. It would have been easier to read.
But it's not footnotes.
But even he should have done it on the side. So that should go on. All stuff from in. It just makes everything harder to follow. But it's a practical verstehe this typographical issue because it's signs, whatever. People don't like big margins. Akapunem, back to where I am, is as ich sage große Sache. Man darf kennen mit Katzen and organize. The Rambam was a major. The Rambam says in Ilchas Dais, as a Mensch darf reden nicht so viel Wörter. Und wegen dem, der Oilem Schadu und Tamina derich Zura. Ich gucke eine Marve bei Dibber, und wegen dem, wenn er allein, guckt es auf der kurze Weg. And he's Mekayim, this. Okay, back to, and that's why even Omar Ploinis would ruin it. The Rambam says this also, like, mit Mishnah Torah, right? Mishnah Torah steht, geht nicht schreiben the Memres. There's something more of a reasoning over there, was mit der Halacha and so on. But the Ikir Sache is, as Mishnah Torah is the most readable Jewish book ever written, is Mishnah Torah. Is that true?
Yeah. But he does write Chacham Amr and Chacham Miskini.
No, only when he needs. It doesn't write. First, he doesn't write their name. Very important. It doesn't say that Ploini Hisken ever. Not Mamish. Ever. Look, even the Rambam wasn't perfect at being the Rambam. Okay, he could have done a better job of being the Rambam. But at least his goal is to clarify everything, and you can actually read it because of this. If he would have done the Rav Das Tana, the Rav why would I trust you? The Rav Das is precisely the previous Tana that we said that he should have done it for authority. But the Rambam seems to not be worried about his authority, or just assumes that everyone's going to believe him enough that they're going to believe him even without. I'm not sure if this is an over or Gav, if that's not the side. The Rav is this is Gav.
Zoekt Brief, aber noch mal so was sagen, wenn er kann.
Er wollte geschrieben, meine Mekoim ist nicht gut. Ich wollte geschrieben nehmen. Nicht nehmen. Ja, Amashi, aber nicht exactly this.
Der Rabbi Zuf von Baum hat gesagt, wie es bei Nacht, und es Drusche, he said that
Okay.
the Rabbi is a suga from Sachen, just know the Rabbi Stusse, because the Rabbi thinks that the authority comes from the
I
Mount
know.
The Rambam doesn't think that the Rambam thinks the authority comes
There's
from
more
the
than
words.
that. You think there comes from the Gemara? Ach, weiß.
So therefore, you know, what do I care?
Emes. But again, they shall have the Rabbi Ta'an to the Rambam. The question on the Rambam is Midas. We always have to say we had the good Midas. So the Rabbi Ta'an, that's his kind from Gave. Die halt man got the Kalab, I feel if you don't write their names. That's what the Misnagdim say. What the Chassidus are asking for Anova. He's not trying to force anyone to believe him. If you're a Rambam, if you want to come to Rambam, he's being helpful to you. Now, when you're helpful to someone, you have to be helpful not in a cursive way. You have to be helpful in a giving way. Helpful in a giving way means I'm going to write a book without footnotes. I'm thinking, come and if you want me to force you to believe it, I'm not forcing you to believe it. Umar Ploini is Tashtekten. The Heilige hat gesagt. Laws Leben. Keine Heilige hat nicht gesagt. You have something to say. Look, you want to rely on me. You're anyways relying on the guy, right? So all the Umar does is adding a stecken. And the Rambam doesn't care for that stecken. He very much has this thing where, you don't like me? It's nicht. He writes in his letter, right? You know, I'm helping you. Some people are passenig to be helped, so they won't be helped. That's their problem. Al-Gapunem, that's the nice interpretation of this. So wegen dem ist Arich ist ein Teelisten. Zu schreiben nehmen. Okay. That's one thing. now they add another thing, right? This is the important thing that we have to talk about. It's already 10:05. This is the other thing we have to talk about. The other thing is ve'efshe. There's like a negative, like one thing, general rule. We don't write names, but there's a bigger problem. It's possible the fumim sheshemu ishahi. I'm going to write a name. Now we discussed that some of my names, the names have last names like Al Farabi and things like that. So therefore, if I'm going to write that, this is of course only about that, right? A stupid person, and right? So now, firstly, I want to answer my question that I said last time. Last week, I said that the Rambam is saying that this person has no tvina, right? And it seems like maybe he's not a genius, but he's not saying shtissim. It actually makes sense what he's saying. So I found a solution to this, a philological solution to this problem. That this trend, he has a comment about this, right? It's that you see that in the Ibn Tibbon translated this mishayin lechayich, mishayin letam, and he says it's a shala what if the Arabic says. I didn't look up on the Arabic dictionary to find out what this word actually means. And Kapach had a different pshat, but I see Schwartz, who has accurate translations generally, translates mishayin. That's it. That's bringt den Kapach. Aber der Michal Schwarz hat translated das so. Shain le shipet nochain. And look, someone that doesn't have judgment. Now that's a much better translation, and it actually matches more with Ibn Tibbon's translation when he says tam. It doesn't mean taste. It means discernment, right?
Discernment.
So he's saying someone that doesn't have discernment is going to have this thought, and that's correct. For some, he's not calling him a name, saying that he's stupid. Just saying you don't have discernment. Tvina is that's why it's a bad translation. You could read it that way, but the other translations would translate as someone who doesn't have judgment. Not in Dibsta typisch Dutchkan judgment. Dibsta mensch Dutchkan eigen judgment. Therefore, you have to only read books that are written by kosher Jews. You should do that. I'm not saying you shouldn't. But since I'm a kosher Jew, and I'm writing a book for you also, and if I'm going to do this, you're not going to have to stop reading it. You're going to be correct for it. I don't think he says that you're not going to be correct for it. And the Rambam himself in Mishnah Torah says that people that don't know logic should not read philosophy or pagan works. And all the people he's quoting are pagans or Muslims, not much better than pagans. So, or much better, but not for all relevant purposes. So, of course, you shouldn't read it. And that's why he's doing a Torah for that person, not saying the name. So he should be allowed to read the Rambam's book, because he wouldn't be allowed to. That's just my solution to say that the Rambam is not calling the person that is correct, and that is correct in the sense of being in the level of taklid, being in the level of needing to accept from authority. You can't call him a stupid person. Doesn't seem to be fair. Now what's that person? It's what that person is going to say. Yeah, it's all a quote. So now, if I'm going to write the person's name, it's going to make someone without his own discernment think that this is a bad thing. And it has a bad pneumius, a bad internal meaning, a bad, what's the word? Burhan? Hidden meaning, which he doesn't know. Right? This is very important. We discussed this last time, because this means, although it sounds reasonable. In other words, that person knows of Kabbalah Stamashim. Nobody argues on Kabbalah Stamashim, but people know their own chesronos, and they know that they don't have the correct judgment to figure out what things really mean. Sometimes a very naive or nice-looking sounding thing isn't actually as good as it seems. Of course, that's true. Just like the whole drama of the whole Torah is that Toch Torah Yeshlei Toch Toiv, right? This word Toch, or could be translated as Pnimius. Pnimius HaTorah was a word that the Rambam invented. I mean, he stole it from the Arabs. And Pnimius HaTorah means that what it seems on the surface is not what it really means. There's an internal, hidden meaning, or Pnimius meaning, right? Of course, this is the good Deir Chalimid. You should always find the hidden meaning in everything.
The Arabs had it too?
The Pnimius HaTorah, the idea. Yeah. This concept of interpretation. Also, man steht einmal in Koran, also man darf verstehen, also es seht da was steht. Also immer sich steht nicht. Yeah. It has a word, I forgot how this kind of interpretation has a word in Arabic, but I forgot. It's a größer Chiddush. I mean, people before them had it also. But it's a huge Chiddush. Was? Ich kann sagen, aber sag friends with bleiben nicht drin. Was?
Lamdas in Koran.
I don't know about Lamdas, but everyone has their own shooting. Du hast auch Halacha, but that's a different discussion. I don't know if the Gemara has this language at least. This language of Pnimis, the Gemara is in Farish, but the language of Stua inside and outside, this language which we use a lot, become very popular, I think is language that comes from the Arab interpreters. Yeah, actually do think so. The Greek tradition has concept of esotericism, but not really in this formulation. So can mind this up, but if you take from their formulation.
This thing of saying that there is a pneumistic meaning is a very strong for the Christians.
Auch
They
saying
that most of the things that the Rambam said, the Torah says is not the
I
same.
think that was more, but see,
but we fought against it very strongly.
No, allegorical meaning. The Rambam doesn't ever use the word allegorical meaning.
They call it the word. They actually say the inside meaning that there's a pneumistic.
Okay.
I'm just saying that's the.
Enough checking.
It's a very Christian.
Okay.
Whatever.
Could be. Who fought with that? Okay. The Christians themselves fought with Oregon, who said things like this.
Whatever. At least in the debate.
The four ways is Oregon's thing, and he's a heretic. In any case, nobody really likes when you do this too much. Okay, no established religion likes when you do this too much. But what I'm trying to say is that this is an important word for the Rambam. It's an important concept for the Rambam. And when someone says that this person, because I know he's a bad person, although it seems good, it was really bad, it macht a serious argument. It's not a Kanadish argument. Right? Toichra is a very serious. I forgot there's other places where he talks about this concept. In any case, right? And therefore, I'm going to solve this person's problem. What am I going to do? Not write the names. Now why not? Because I'm trying to fool them? No. Because I'm trying to help them. By the way, same word, that's Safinim. The hidden things. Actually, we have to check if it really says hidden in the source. He says Atzirim. Since I want you to get the secret of Prikovas, and I don't want you to think that the people that I'm called have an evil secret, I want to tell you there's a good secret.
It's two different words. It's
yeah, I know.
Not tell you.
Yeah, I understand. But, so that's why I don't know if it's correct translation, if it's in that sense. But Al-Punem, what he's saying is, since I want to help you, and you have to remember, this is a very important thing, we already discussed this, you have to remember that things can only be judged by their own criteria, right? If you judge things by their own criteria, you're always going to make mistakes, right? For example...
Things can only be judged by their own criteria?
Yeah.
If you judge by your own criteria?
By the wrong criteria.
Oh.
By the wrong... Wrong, I have to do better diction. By the wrong criteria, by criteria of something else, to make a mistake. Now, most of us have heard of this criteria called truth. Since we're lovers of the truth, which we're supposed to be at least, since we're Shema Amra, we're supposed to judge everything by the criteria of truth. Right? Now, what does truth mean for most people? It's my truth. Hello, weiß ich, wie viele Sachen, weiß nicht, was truth ist, die weiß das.
It stands up to... It stands up to critical analysis in the modern way of people assume.
Corresponds to reality.
Corresponds, right. Normal people think that truth represents correctly the way things are. Correspondence to reality, okay? Right? In other words, the better Kapi Mishin I am, the more truth I say. And the better... And then sometimes people even think the better I understand things, the less I say true. But I'm not going to get to that part. Okay, right? In other words, right? Ich habe gesagt, mach Leukes mit Menschen wegen Menschen, was halten sich größer Chakre. Because I said a pshat, but I said it in the wrong words. And I said that the Rambam said it or someone said it, but he said it in a different word, so I'm lying. I said that Rambam said that, but he didn't really say that because he said different words. And we don't have a proof that what he meant was the same as your words, just your understanding. So I'm saying more truth than you because I'm just copy-pasting his words and repeating them twice. And you are giving you a pshat, which is other nine. Now, it could be that my pshat is wrong, 100% masking. But I think that person is not actually saying more truth than me. Right? Why? Now, I have a lot of ways of saying this, but I want to say a very simple reason why. Why? Because you have to decide what your actual criteria is. And truth in the sense of correspondence to reality and the reality of what it says is not actually what anyone should ever care for in a book. Not the writer or not the reader. What you should care for is for the thing that he's trying to explain, right? The book also has to be transparent. It has to be transparent to reality. We don't want to be transparent to books because books don't end anything. Right? This is why the basic reason why the Rambam thinks that the only sure way to interpret scripture is by philosophy. Isaac Kimmon Spinoza and so deze filosofie after Torah sagt etwas anders. To the extent that Torah says something else, then can go in the garbage. Aber Torah sagt nur auf Weg, was weiß der Remes. In Pshat, the Ram clear and dictic afille, it's always here to make clock. And there's no such thing as proving what it actually says from the text. Nicht du das sagt. Kann allemal so eine andere Pshat. The einzige, we can wissen, if Pshat is Emes, if it's an Emes, or there's a Kenish on Emes. Then we know that that Pshat is definitely false. Not because of the text, because the text is not a thing. Right? I'm going a little off topic. The same way, now different books have different kinds of goals, right? If the goal of the book is to explain you something, so to the extent that I explain myself something, I am fulfilling the goal of this book. So according to the criteria, or the kind of truth even, or the criteria of this book, was the Tachlis in the book, als jeden soll best verstehen, the Teure.
Statement, but
At least in this sense.
Ich
habe verstanden der Teure. Oder so geschrieben, Buch Zeit verstehen der Teure, und ich verstehe der Teure. Oder statt der Buch verstehen Gott. I get God from this book. That's me fulfilling the criteria of this book. If someone knows very well to say exactly what the book says, but he doesn't understand what he's saying, or he disagrees, which means he doesn't know another way of saying I don't understand, usually, then, right? Usually when someone says I disagree, it means I don't understand. Yitzchok Lowy's dictionary. Disagree usually means I don't understand.
He doesn't have an argument.
An argument is just a very good way of explaining what you don't understand. Sometimes it's something I don't understand, they don't even know how to explain it. If you have an argument, I mean, this is exactly what I don't understand.
He could disagree because he feels that you're not.
Okay.
I don't understand your position.
Maybe you're right. The verstehst nicht, was du musst verstehen. I didn't say that. But it's just a better way.
Doesn't mean that this guy's true.
I didn't say who was right. I just said that disagree and not understand are the same thing. Okay. But Nakapunim, right? So if you disagree with a book or you don't understand it, even if you can tell me exactly all the words you remember every us in the book, that book didn't fulfill its purpose. It's ge'ili lo nichta. That should that book exists. It didn't do what it needs to do. Right? On the other hand, if the book didn't give you a copy paste of a previous book, right? So for example, he doesn't quote his sources. Even if he explicitly lies, this would work. But especially if he doesn't explicitly lie, he only lies by omission. The Rambam is very makbid not to lie explicitly, but he does not care at all about lying by omission. Then, that's actually a very important thing. But there's like examples, not thousand examples. The point is, what is the goal of this book? Right? If Rambam is writing a book, what is the goal? If the goal would be to give you a nice, what's called a doxography, a nice list of beliefs of the previous philosophers and Chachamim, then you would have to say Omar Ploini, or at least it would be more helpful. Anyways, you just want to know that, right? I want to know what these people believed, so I should tell you who the people that believed in, who came up with this idea, and who came up with that idea, and so on. But since that is not so, if you judge, and we tend to judge books by this goal, because many books written Bismanaini have that as the goal, right? If Wikipedia says something they said something that said and some didn't say, they're doing wrong their job, because Wikipedia's job is no original research. You're not allowed to find out the truth, even if you know it by yourself, even if you have like to a level of a picture, it doesn't matter. You know what you have to do, right? Source. English Wikipedia, yeah, you have to write a blog post and then link to it, because then it has a source. True story. Yeah, and then that's academic. Then okay, we can't check everyone. It's our source. Right? Especially if you get into a newspaper, it's the best source ever. But that's only if, they're correct in that sense, because they're encyclopedia. They don't see their job as telling you the truth. Their job is to tell you what other people said. So I get. But if your job is not to tell you what other people said, that's not the Rambam's job. His job is what? No. His job is what? Make you a Novi. Vergessen. His job is to make you a Novi. And in order to be a Novi, you have to have good midas. So his job is to get you good midas. Okay? Now you're going to get stuck. You should go with the Deirech HaMitzvah. You should not fast too much and not eat too much. That's how you can become a Lowy. They held the Rambam.
By the way, the next thing we kicked up gesagt mit Swuren, so wir treffen an Source, ich sehe den Mann, der Baha'alutch, als einer bringt darauf,
I don't know. There's a lot of sources there.
ich habe gesehen, das hat Source.
Who brought it as a source?
No, ich habe gesehen, einer bringt ein paar Sachsuren,
No.
Who
quoted it?
Von halber Stand.
Wen? Auf der List?
Group was einer download Suren dort.
Ah, okay.
So, aber jetzt, ich gehe mal sehen,
Ich bin noch ein Source, das ist gemacht.
habe ich gesehen,
Das ist fragen.
ich kickte da und gesagt, okay.
Okay, you send it to me. I don't know. Point is, Lowy told the sources, okay? That's the
No,
point.
ich hasse schon, aber ich wusste.
It's very good, but it's whatever. It's a navi, no shata. Agapunim. What did I want to say? Right. So if the goal is to tell you what the sources say, then you shouldn't do it. But the Rambam has a goal, and he thinks, Lemushal, not he thinks, he sees, not just an opinion, that if you want to be a common novi, the way to do this is to go with Derech HaMitzvah. This is our goal. If mehr Yidden will go with Derech HaMitzvah. Figure out what that means, but that's his goal. Now, if he's going to come and say, the boys, the Heilige God is talking about Derech HaMitzvah, and therefore, so are more people going to go with Derech HaMitzvah or less? Was less. That's what he says. Because some people have a correct belief that Aristotle is questionable. You shouldn't accept what he says. So instead of doing that, I'm going to not tell you that Aristotle said it. I'm going to say the Rambam said it. Of course, the Rambam doesn't lie. And it's a good question. Why not? Why doesn't he lie more? Why did he even give us this whole akdama? So, okay, you understand? That's the very important thing. So therefore, he doesn't say the names. So in order, you should do what it says, and the main thing is you do what it says. It doesn't matter, right? Why didn't he make a bigger lie? Why did he write this whole shtickle? This whole shtickle is way too much truth if for that, right? Yeah, seriously. I know people that did this. Nobody treft. The people that tweams the Giden still believe them, but anyways. What?
Yes, das habe ich verlosen.
No, there's felt people that did lies, how's it called? Writing books in other people's names, and it worked. That's it. Whatever, es fängt die ganze Zeit. Und was ist schlecht? Noch einmal, if you're a academic truth believer, like you need everything to be a copy of Wikipedia, then you should never do it at all. But once you're moida, that the main thing is that people should accept it. So why don't they go one step further and say, ich drauf nach Staviat von der Ravinne, and the days of the ganze in John.
What's your point?
I'm asking, and not only that's one kasha. Why don't they lie more? They still the hand to Adiyam as there's some people. Ist das steht nicht mehr, man fleckt das nicht, nicht mehr das nicht. Ja?
Ja.
Aber ich schon mal gut gesagt. Das ist schon mal gut gesagt. Aber es will so liegen, so eine Mann. That was why he was mekayim. But Agapunim, it's a very good question, right? Why doesn't he lie more? Ich can get the chance. And nicht nur das, okay, ich habe einen besseren Weg für der Kasche. Du sagst, du tag Menschen muss fuhren warten und sagen, okay, das ist schon gesagt. Und du andere Menschen sagen, hallo, der Rambam hat gesagt, es steht Tocht von Goyim, so I'm not going to accept all his ideas. Not only that, even the ideas that are actually in the Torah, I'm not going to accept because he's Chushid already, the Rambam. Right? If the Rambam would have been a little smarter and would have never told us these things, not a little smarter, I don't know, a bigger liar, more dedicated to his goal and less to the means of the Kushid ways of doing it, then he could have maybe had even more chassidim. We don't care about having chassidim. He could have made more people into Nevi'im. That should, no?
Maybe if he would have to not write the Modern Version too. Or at least not Machzak Sharos.
Maybe.
Maybe, interesting, okay.
Actually, he actually talks about that dilemma, right? In the Akdama of Modern Version.
But at least he could have done a better job. These two others just now.
He could have written the whole Modern Version in the name of Tanun, like someone else did. And then he wouldn't have this whole issue.
Okay.
So maybe he just wasn't creative enough to think of such good lies.
Or
The other day, I'm going
You people are working with a different definition of truth. I told you, the truth can only be defined according to the goal. Okay? And then nicht Kant, was sagt das, wenn es kommt ein Nazi zum Tee, sagt man ihm der Emes, right? Jeder ist moidam sagt liegen, right? And this is at least as important. People should really become good people. What can be more important than that?
So the Rambam has this thing of like, that you lie to like there's a point. Let's say a kid you lie to, basically you tell him about stuff. And later you tell him this true story. He's writing a book, it's going to stay in the
Also, this book, we discussed this, right? This whole paragraph is very, very fun. This paragraph is, Rabbi said, I'm going to lie to you, but when I'm lying to you because I think you're going to only accept it if I lie. Okay, Peirik, I'll live. Now we're starting the lies. And this works. It's amazing how it works. Actually, people accepted this.
It's not lies. He's not telling you who. It's not a
Noch einmal, ich sage dich eine Sache. Rabbi sagt, einer geht an Rabbi sagt, kein Kind sagt eine Sache. Irgendein Quoten gewiss, wer hat es gesagt, was nimmt rausgelaufen vom Smetrisch. Und wie bald sie das so, kann ich nicht sagen, wer es sagt, ich kann sagen. Any normal person would anyone want out of a Smetrisch, no? Jeder Mensch kann doch anders kein Problem, kann sich raam darum auch. Der Mensch, wenn ich gehe in a...
Fragst du, wo es gewinnt?
Noch einmal. Stell dir vor, dass ich gehe ich will doch die Teure von Rav Kook, ich gehe sagen, was Mensch, ich Rabbi sagt, ich sage ein Wort von einem Mensch, was der Rebbe hat nicht gehalten von, aber ich kann nicht sagen, was es von ihm, weil in keinem Show sehen. So, ich suche dich, dass das Wort von einem, was der mir halten nicht von, aber sag jetzt, was doch ist unangenommen. Does it work or not?
Von Reben und von anderen auch. So,
So the schon liegt.
nein.
Die Geist ist wissen, wer sagt was.
But he clearly says, von der Sache, was wenn die was gewiss, was das nicht ausgehört.
Er bringt von der Wirkung
Der Maske, der Stück, was wenn die was gewiss, was der weggelaufen. Das ist funny, nein?
We got to know the question from last week.
10:30? Nein,
No, it was last week you left us with the other
ich
question.
weiß.
No,
Das
last
ist
week
noch
the
eine Version
question
von
you
der
made
ähnlichen
was,
Kasche.
how did the Rambam himself was able to be mafkin? That's the question. But I zook, dass du kannst dich, als ein Mensch geht, dass zook.
Ich habe gewollt, but this taking you people don't someone have to blame you. I don't know how. Das ist nicht Sachen schnell.
Nächste Woche nur nehmen noch,
Nein, wir gehen straight on von da. Du verstehst der Plan, nein, auf der Kasche kann ich sogar Terrets. Auf der Kasche kann ich sogar push the Terrets. Und der push the Terrets ist also. Und ich meine, this is not 100% true, that I don't know that this is true, but I think so. Es ist dasselbe Terrets für die Kasche, was der Rahmen, was auch noch Liegends bei Omission, was auch nicht klar Liegends. What's really the difference? Mein Sheval Tas sounds a little worse. Beside there.
Das ist schon liegen.
No. But in general, this is true, right? The Rambam understands that you have to lie, you have to teach people by noble lies. He never calls them, he never comes out and calls them noble lies.
The ends justify the means.
But he does basically working in this tradition. But if you actually read the Rambam very carefully, not if you don't read them carefully, because in other words, he does one more thing besides for lying by omission. He says things that he knows people will interpret wrongly, and he doesn't see it as his responsibility to correct that. Right? Ich kenne das sogar sagen, dass ob du hast nicht die richtige Akdoma ist, Geist in meinen, ich meine eine Sache. Wer es hat die richtige Akdoma ist, weiß, dass ich meine zweite Sache. Das ist auch, aber ich kann schon liegen. Die hast verstanden liegen. Das ist da ein Plan.
Wie?
Der Rambam tut das die ganze Zeit. Wie ist der das gleich? Aber das ist, wer es in der Rambam tut das die ganze Zeit. Right?
Weil du sagst nicht, einfach klein.
But okay, I can't just, I don't remember clearly. It doesn't say explicitly. I don't think. I think that it's very shit today, but it is like a sach. Er sagt es beide. Er sagt in der Sibach Hamish ist listiert steht beide place. And Sibach Shvi steht für eine größere Sache, but Sibach Hamish is says this basic. So what's the point? And nicht nur dem, er sagt das Sachen, right? So das Sachen, wo nicht shaker, aber auch nicht stemmes. Other words, they're really true, but they're not true in the way that they're said. The way that most people will, they communicate it, what they're saying to most people. Is, again, if you want to lie to most people, why don't you just go ahead? You see Plato, the Mushal. Everyone knows Plato. Plato, when it overcame with the idea from the noble lie, he made sure that lie is a very, very obvious nonsense. It's actually interesting. This is one of the double Ibn Chachmas in Plato. Plato comes up with a noble lie. You think was the noble lie? Plato hat geschrieben ein Buch, The Republic, and dort steht, dass bald uns davon machen Menschen so kehren wegen dem ganzen System, bekitze, we have to get people to care about our city and to fight for it in war, even Mesiris Nefesh. And how are we going to do it? So he says like this, listen, we have to lie to them, misen. What we're going to tell them, we're gonna mix everyone's families. We're not gonna let people know who their parents are. Oy bazoi, how they're gonna and we're gonna nobody's gonna know who their parents are. They're all gonna. But so who are they gonna consider their parents? Not the parents. We're gonna say that everyone from a certain age is the children of everyone from a certain age. Okay, and now since we want to control, it's very important for us to control who you marry because we need to make sure this is eugenics, right? We need to make sure that they come out good children. Not everyone can marry anyone. So what are we gonna do? We're gonna make a whole festival and the and he's gonna look on his list and see who should marry who. And how we're going to get everyone not to do that, not to go to anyone else, because we're going to tell them, look, you're all brothers and sisters with everyone that's your age. And so you're not allowed to marry. Okay, so I get to what about the people who do want to marry? What are we going to tell them? So we're going to tell them that there's a special Amul, Kimta, Shruach, and Himmel, the Kohen, and it's a aim special, but everyone else, it's Mama Sharayas. And so on. How are we going to make them? How are we going to make them all? Everyone in the city think that they're par. We're going to tell them. We're not even going to tell them that they have their parents. And then we change the lie. We're going to tell them they all came up from the earth. The same earth gave birth to everyone. And then we're not going to understand why some people are the manhigim and some people have to work. Some people are the guardians. Some people are this. We're going to tell them that look, some people are made out of gold. Some people are made out of silver, and some people are made out of iron, bronze. And then neshamas, and that's how we're going to make everyone believe. This is all he's telling all of this to his friends, and anyone reading it, I mean, it's in the text also. This is nothing subtle about these lies. This is like grabish skurim. Anyone that 3 little cycles can realize that it's a lie. We have to lie, right?
It's a theoretical thing, yeah.
Of course, in some sense, he's bringing across the point that you have to lie, and maybe it doesn't really mean you should lie, such grave lies. But what am I saying? The Ram doesn't do these kind of lies, right? He never comes out and says groise shtissim.
If he does,
for the most part.
He didn't think that it mattered. It means he didn't think that it's
So he thinks that we can do with less. But he does think that it's not the truth. So we have to figure out what is the point here. I think that one major point, and this is actually halacha l'maaseh, why it's much better to lie by omission than to lie explicitly. It's because we have to try to cater to 2 audiences at the same time. We have to help 2 kinds of people at the same time. There's many teachers that are very good at helping stupid people. There's many teachers, basically all of them. Very good at helping stupid people. Because stupid people are believing what you say. And, I mean, some people are bad at that also, because they say tell them bad things. But assuming that you're the teacher, nicht kanar, and the weiß die Arbeit says lafos lernen, and I'm saying whatever lignit is going to cause him to become a better person, then it's going to work. He's going to become a better person and shine. Now, when you do that, and the way that Rambam is doing it for sure, right? When you do that, if you write a book or if you have a school which just teaches everyone goes to the same school, then you're going to solve for the 95 or 98% of the people. They're all going to be good people because they all believe that there's Titanavai, the guy Tlach in Gehenna, and there's Michal Shabbos Kim Tablitz, and Shistem, and of course the one guy was tried it out, found that that's not true. There's only one guy. 99% of people didn't ever try it out because they're afraid. So it works. But the Rambam thinks that this is destructive for certain people. For the 1%, right? I don't even know if he thinks it's 1%. But for the true people, for the Yichidim, for the Sridim, he has names for them, nice names. For the elite, guy they stay in. For those guys to stay in, not only is it not going to make them better because they see through the lies, it's going to make them worse. Why is it going to make them worse? Because of the Mevicha from the beginning of the Meir Nevochim, right? Right? They're going to either start disbelieving everything you ever said because they know that you're a liar. By the way, that only happens to like 2% of people, a few more percent than the people that really want to know the truth. There's some people that are bothered. That's one problem. I don't think the Rambam was actually worried about that problem. I think that's a more modern problem. And there's another problem, which is that they're going to accept what you say to some extent. Some of them are going to be there's sometimes, ich weiß in the Stufizat Menschen, right? There's Tzadikim and the Shuam and Chacham and Tipshim, right? So there's all the combinations, right? But sometimes it's Tzadikim and Chacham, and those are the people that we really care about, right? So the Shuam and the Tipshim, whatever. The Shulchan Chachomim, also. The Tzadikim Tipshim, all those are fine, right? There's the fourth group, the Tzadikim Chachomim, that's in trouble, right? If you're a Rusha Chacham, then you're just going to not believe what the Rebbe told you. You can leave the truth and shine. You're actually doing well. You're not really a Rusha, but we call you a Rusha, right? If you're a Rusha, a Tippish, if you're a Tzadik, a Tippish, very good. That's basically the person we're trying to help, right? Tzadikim Tipshim, those, that quadrant, that's who society is here to help. The stupid Tzadikim. But what about the smart Tzadikim? Smart tzaddikim are the people that have the conflict, right? Because it's tzaddik, which means he doesn't really have the option of saying, whatever the Rebbe said is nonsense, and ich gaat hier als wie acher, and schlepp na gruß von der Eva Shabbos. Right? Doesn't really have that option. If he does have that option, he only has it halfway. He doesn't also have the option to just be a rush, to just be a tzaddik, or the chacham. He doesn't know what to do. And now then, that's one problem, so Nebuch. But it's even more sad, because this is the one guy that we really could bring to perfection. Everyone else, whatever. But this is the one guy that, Tzaddik Chocham, that's basically what you have to be. And we ruined this the only chance we ever have for the being one good guy of the whole system, the ganze system, gemacht für ein Mensch. And der ein Mensch ruinen uns. Kann ich nicht sagen. Therefore, the Rambam holds, and that's basically what it says in the Akdama of the Murder. Therefore, the Rambam holds that there has to be a way to let through that one person. Man darf kennen, suchen liegend vor der Eule, unruhen der ein Mensch. This is the Maskir's Kesef, and this is the reason why you only lie by omission.
Now, who says this? Then this is
Deze sag ich. Mir auch alle sucht nach dumme, aber des steht nicht klar, des was ich so.
I mean to say you're not
This whole stickle
of this because he doesn't say that.
No, he's talking about a different. That's for the second part of the sheet that I didn't get to yet. This is another sheet. This is based off the closest place where it says something like this is Lagdama of Mernavach, but it doesn't literally say this. It's just calculating a few steps beyond that and figuring out that's what comes out. But also from practice, I think practically this seems to be a reasonable position. Since you want to also save the one chacham, so you do all kind of things. You have to do a lot of work. But one thing you try to do very much is to not tell. For example, you tell everyone Shema Emes Misha Amra. For a shtickle teretz for what I asked last time. For example, in Zugen, Rabbi say Shema in seiner nicht kein Menschen, right? Was nicht, was gleiben noch was steht. In gleiben der Emes. Now, of course, to most people that's stupidity. That's like quoting Emerson, right? Not Emerson, the guy that whatever, no, the guy that
C.S. Lewis.
The Kitzi, the life of Brian, right? We're all individuals, okay? Sure, this is a more popular source. Everyone is individuals, but the Rebbe is an individuals. That is stupid in some sense. But doing that kind of thing has one ma'ala. That the one person that is actually an individual at least wasn't destroyed. It doesn't help him actually. To help him, but at least he wasn't destroyed by your education. At least you didn't tell him you're not allowed to be an individual. Or at least you didn't tell him we're against the truth. Because truth leads you to be an apikoivis. So in seinen Fall, was steht nicht der Emes. At least you don't say that. Does this actually work? I don't know. But that's my theory. I have not really tried it very well. And I think that there are like styles of education that pretend to do this. And I wonder if they actually, I don't know. But in any case, I don't know if this practically works, but that's a theory.
No, the problem of people that dealt with this problem, they thought, they said, they all came up with different solutions. Their solution was halbwegs in between.
This is a solution. I'm telling you, at least leave space for the one guy. That's also what, and this is what I think the true answer to this question, when he does this really weird thing where he's like, I'm going to like you now, please listen to my lies. Now, this works very well. Actually, if you try it, there's most in politics, but actually telling people exactly what you're going to do, how you're going to mess with their brains, and then doing it, most of the time works. Nobody takes the disclaimer. The magicians that say, I'm going to now make a magic trick that is not magic. Everyone still gets impressed by the magic trick. Your brains are just that dumb.
The greatest move. The Nazism and the Belgium all came with a plan.
And there's exactly that they wrote it in books for the elite, and the popular books they didn't mamish write that.
The man kann versteht das, weißt du.
Ja, nein, but yes, but that's for others.
Clearly.
No, the communist, but the propaganda, the Communist Manifesto is already the lies. He's not giving everyone the.
But Lenin writes very clearly.
Whatever. And maybe it didn't work so well because of that. Maybe that's why Khrushchev already didn't believe it. If shit, take it out what am I saying? It's true, but in general, telling people because our brains are that dumb. Because most people are so stupid. So telling them Rabbi Yitzchok is going to for their eigene Teuve works, and then they believe it because it makes sense. It doesn't have the independence to say, well, you're lying to me. How do I know if it's my Teuve? Or maybe it's not. But he's doing it. It's good for me. This lie. So that's what most people think. So therefore, saying these kind of this is the interesting thing that the Rambam discovered, and it sort of worked, by the way, for the Rambam. Revealing to people a lot more than they, according to the smart people, should be able to grasp, actually doesn't hurt them as much as the smart people who don't trust the stupid people said. Stimmt? This is part of all the upside down things, where I always have to twist it to make it mean that he likes the masses more than you do. Right? Most people think like this. Most people think we have to lie to people. Most people, meaning the normal esoteric theory, goes like this. We have to lie to people because otherwise they'll be very evil. But we're also not allowed to tell them that we're lying to them because then they won't be good. Same reason. They're going to realize that we're lying to them. So we have to not even tell them that we're lying to them, right? And this works, but not for I think it works not for the 1%, also not for the 2%. Okay. Now, what does the Rambam say? The Rambam says, no, you're underestimating both how stupid and how good people are. Because you could tell them that you're lying to them. And then you'll solve the whole problem of all the people saying, well, you lied to me. Oh, I'm lying to you. No problem. I didn't fool anyone. You came to my magic show. I told you this is all a bunch of lies, and that's what you paid for. Uri Geller, I heard the Red had an interview in the Ynet where he said that in the Weiss was Motzei Shabbos then, all the missiles were flying to Israel. He hit a last night. You know Uri Geller, the guy that bends. Man weiß, gerät mit der Lel Verredung, gerät mit der Zahan, the Koyach Machshuv hat raus. Yeah, so he has to lie. His shtick is lying. And then, I saw someone in the comment. Guess what? He got it printed in the newspaper. I don't know what he is, but it's mitzvah. And it's like a headline. Now he's going to get more bookings. Public minister, right? Our business is arbeit for the Liegans. But the other mention, Penn and Taylor, they're even better than that. He thinks that the Olam is stupid. He's saying, no, the Olam is smart. You could tell them that you're lying, and they're going to stand that you're lying for their own good, and they're going to accept it. And it's such a they're not smart enough to realize that you're lying to them and do differently. And because, in other words, both because most people are actually trying to be good, and because the actual thing, if you can even tell them all the truth, but it's going to go straight over their head. So you might as well say the truth. And what are you going to save? You're going to save the few people that do have to hear the truth. And those people, it doesn't go over their head. And those people will also hopefully know what to do with being lied to for their own good. So that's a real problem, right? The people in the middle are always the biggest problem, what I call the 2%. The 2%, the Ram talks about this many times. The biggest problem is the people that know half of the truth. And the people that stop believing the lies but don't have another truth. Those are the people that we're here to solve. But in general, this is the strategy that is supposed to help everyone somehow. And I think it's based on, I have to make it sound like it's based on being better to most people than you think. Maybe it's also for his own good. Maybe it's not good for the soul to be a pure manipulator. Maybe it's better to lie by omission. That's a third reasoning.
Some people think that it's the worst thing.
No, I never lie. Not to tell the whole truth, but I never lie.
I'm not speaking about you, but I mean, say if you lie something, you can say it.
Meaning on his conscience.
Yeah, on your soul. I don't know what conscience is. On your soul. Because you become a liar. And it's not good to be a liar. For yourself. Not for anyone else. It's bad to be a liar. Stimmt. Okay, anyways, that's halacha l'maaseh. So, and that's a little side of what we said already. That this is not the full solution. I have to give a whole another shit about much more things. but it's something of a solution where everything has to be read at two levels. The Ram says it's beferish, and everything has to be read at two levels. The Pushta mention will read it, but we're also telling the Pushta people certain secrets that l'chayr don't belong to them, both in order to save the smart people who are also at least starting off together with them, and because it doesn't hurt. Maybe it even makes them better. Maybe it's actually a good lie to believe that you believe things because of proof. I very much wonder about this. Which lie is better? Tell the I'm the teacher in nursery, right? There's two ways we could. By the way, this is actually a real case, right? We teach kids, right? Nobody's going to teach them philosophy, okay? Or at least nobody really cares. Nobody's interested. But we teach kids a min, right? Now there's two shitters of doing this. Both of them are 100% lies. One says the boy said, "Glaubt, was steht, man darf in Pschite, steht sich Svure, jeder Tateve von der Minne, all kind of things like that." Okay? The other one saying, "Bleiben, weil du reist, the kids are schon auch gewesen, the Ram schon auch gewesen. What the reis are, who cares? Nobody's really checking them. Du reist, and bleiben more, was the Emes." So which one is the better lie? Ich trachte, the zweite the bessere liegend. They both have different failure modes. I'm not talking about the failure mode yet. I'm talking about which one is better as a lie. Which lie has more of the truth in it? Assuming that this thing is true. If the whole thing is a lie, then for sure, then the min pshita is a little more truthful, because at least it doesn't say that it's true. Perhaps? Yeah, he doesn't know that it's true. He's saying, yeah, we don't know that it's true, we just believe it. But assuming that there is some truth, or at least there's some nimshel of truth, or whatever, then I think that the other liar is doing a better job at representing the truth. Because this one basic belief, which is a philosophical belief, which are things that are true because they're true and not because someone said they're true, at least he told them that. Well, they don't really know how to do that, they don't know what it means. But at least that Yitzchok ganz verdreht the concept of truth. This is what just the confusing. I would say is, as the Shah al-Kastira going to get to eat and a match in the Shchiza, and mine is like it Zimmer. That was not what I used to say. That was a lie.